What's up, and welcome to Unspoken Conversations. I'm James Crow, and here we talk about issues and situations that are in plain sight. Things that people hate to talk about, but it needs to be said, from relationships, families, friends, and life. Our goal is to shed light and understanding so that just maybe we can start to rebuild relationships, families, and ultimately, our communities. What's up, and welcome back, guys. Damn. In just over or right around 30 days, I've edited and recorded over 200 videos. Over 200 videos in around 30 days. And I've actually published, let me see on, what is that, Spotify. I sent them the RSS. RSS distributes them out to Spotify, Amazon Music, and couple more. And I have a YouTube channel also. So check me out if you want to check some of these videos out if you haven't already. But I've published 30 videos so far. So this one right here is going to be a bonus video. And for those of you who don't know, Connie, my sister Connie Crow, she's the reason I started all this. She used to tell me all the time, you should put something on YouTube. You should really build something on YouTube. You should do something with this because people will listen to you. You know what I mean? You have something important to say, and the things that you say be so real that it kind of fits everybody's situation. It not all stories, but there's somebody who can fit your story here and there. And she was right. She was right. So I've always been somebody that would help people in situations if they ask for it. I ain't just going to be volunteering help. You know what I mean? Every once in a while I'll be like, yo, I don't know if I would do that or something. But as far as like getting in people's business and stuff like that, that ain't never really been me. You know what I mean? I have friends that I don't want to see nothing happen to, but that's besides the point. So she would always kind of say something to me and try to get me to do something more with it. And I never really wanted to. But after she died, I decided she's right. She's right. Let me do something with it because a lot of people do actually come to me and ask me questions and stuff like that. And I can help people. When they come to me sometimes distraught and kind of fucked up, you know. But when they leave different. They leave happy. They leave me more at peace and chill, which is why she said what she said. So, excuse me. For those of you who don't know, my sister Connie Crow is 8 years older than me. She was like another mom to me. You know what I mean? She took care of us when mom was at work, and she did her thing. You know, she would check us. She would whoop ass if she had to. And she kept us in line. But like I said, she was another mother. 2020, her husband killed her and completely dismembered her, everything. And it was me who found her body. And the police came through and they did a little sweep and they kind of overlooked her. I'll put it that way. They kind of overlooked her. They could only do so much. So I don't want to blame them. She, you know, they didn't have any evidence of what was what. So they could only do so much. So this episode is going to be dedicated to telling her story because it didn't really hit the news the way that it should have. It didn't really, you know, hit headlines like it should have. And it was one of the most gruesome things that happened around here. So yeah, there was some bad stuff, but this was one of the most gruesomes. And we still got to a point to where we had to bury her without finding her body parts. So this is going to be Connie's story. And I'm dedicating that to her. So, yeah, it might be a little long, but I'm just going to dive in and tell you kind of what happened on that day. You know what I mean? And times could be a little messed up. You know, I could be off by a date, by like when I say a date, I mean like a number, because I'm thinking the 6th and it could be the 7th and shit like that. But it's, you know, when you got something real tragic like that, it hits your mind a little bit different. So everybody deals with shit a little bit different. And some people say, I would remember that. I would remember that. Well, when you see what somebody else is seeing, then you can say that shit. Until then, be quiet. You get what I'm saying? So there was a day I think it was September, around like I said, I ain't even gonna try to throw a date out there because I'm gonna fuck that up trying to think about it in this very moment. So I got a call from my ex-wife, and she was asking me and my cousin Judy, and she's like, James, they both said, have you talked to Connie? I'm like, I ain't talked to Connie since last week. Last time I talked to Connie, she had my trailer was packed full of stuff, full of stuff. She helped someone clean out their house, and she had their stuff just loaded in my trailer. I said the last time I talked to her was just last week. She went with me to go empty the trailer and put everything in storage so I could go the very next day and go pick up a car that I bought in Missouri. She said both of them, each call that I took, they both was like, well, we haven't seen her and seen or talked to her since last week. So we don't know what's going on. And her husband is saying that she left and she took all of her stuff. I'm like, what do you mean all of her stuff? She didn't, my bad. She left and didn't take any of her stuff. I might be moving a little bit fast, but just bear with me. They said she didn't take her cell phone, didn't take her keys, didn't take her car, didn't take her son or her medicine bag. She took absolutely nothing, and nobody knows where she's at. And I'm like, who is saying that? Who is saying she didn't take anything with her? And they're like, her husband. Her husband is saying she left and didn't take anything. She just, almost like she just disappeared. Now, right off the rip, I'm at work, and this don't sound right to me. So I'm like, yeah, nah, I'm gonna finish up this little project and I'm gonna go over there. So my ex-wife and her friend, I think it's her friend. I think my other little sister got in there some point, but I'm at the moment I'm thinking it was my ex-wife and her friend. And they said, we're gonna go by there. I'm gonna knock on the door. I'm see what's going on. And I'm like, don't go over there. Don't do that. I said, you go over there and you call the police from up the street so you can see the house. Just keep your eye on the house. I said, call the police and tell them you want them to do a, what do you call that? A welfare check. I said, but keep your eye on the house the whole time you call. And I said, that way you can see if somebody comes or goes. I said, and when they come over there, when you see them pull up, then you pull up. You just drive down there and pull up in the driveway. I said, then you can tell them what's going on. You can say you can show them phone, whatever. You can say what's going on. She did that. So she goes over there. Nobody answers the door. Police there. They walk around. They don't see anything. So she calls me. My ex-wife calls me, and she's like, nobody's here. Nobody's answering. His car's gone. Connie's car is here, but his car's gone. I'm like, all right, no big deal. So just stay there. You know what I'm saying? Tell them to look around. I'll be there in just a little bit. Like I said, I was at work. I was finishing up a project, and I was going to go over there. And mind you, there's nothing bad. It doesn't seem to be bad. She just nobody's heard from her in a week. It's been literally either 6 or 7 days. I keep thinking 7, but it could have been 6. But neither here nor there. So I finish up what I'm doing, and I go over there. Get there, pull up, park on the wrong side of the street, and walk up there. And now my ex-wife is here. I can't remember if her friend was there. I believe she was. And then I think my sister hadn't made it there yet. I don't think she had made it there yet. I can't think of that part. My mind was damn near shot at the moment because I didn't know what was going on. So cops are there and they're like, so what's going on? I said, we haven't talked to her. And he's like, well, we can't go in without a search warrant, without knowing what's going on. I'm like, all right, bet. Y'all can't go in. I'm finna go in. I'm finna figure out a way to in. So I'm walking around the house and I'm, trying to figure out which window is open, trying to see if something's open, if I can get in this house. One way or another, I'm getting in this house. If I got to break a window, I'll pay for it. But I'm getting in this house because I need to know what's going on with my sister. So I done moved around the back side of the house, and I'm on the very back where they can't see me and they can't even hear what I'm doing. The police are over on the front, and another police is out in the very back on the shed side. And she's got a pretty decent sized yard, not big, but decent to where if I would have heard him getting close, I would have been able to, not do what I'm doing. So didn't find a way in. And before I broke in, I wanted to work my way back around to the front to see what they had came up with, see if the police were going to leave or what was going to happen, whether they were going to stay, whether they were going to let me go in or what. I wanted to see what they were going to say. What would happen if I go in this house? Am I going to get in trouble? What's going to happen? I wanted to ask them that. But by the time I got back to the front, he's pulling up. Her husband's pulling up. And he's got his mom with him, and he's got my nephew, which is his son by my sister, Connie. So I'm a little bit irritated because where the fuck's my sister at, dog? You know what I mean? And I approach him and I'm very no nonsense. So I'm trying not to speak because I don't know what to say and I don't know how to say it. And I don't want it to come out sideways because if he says something slick, it's done. It's over. I'm not going to talk. I don't want to talk. So he says, man, I don't know, man. She just left. I would say, what do you mean she just left? Just left how? Who? Where? What was she in? He said somebody picked her up and she just left. I said, what was she wearing? He's like, I don't even remember, man. I don't even remember. He's clearly he's playing dumb. He's playing dumb. And again, my nephew is not too far from me. He's right outside the door. Now we're in the front part of our house, which it used to be a porch, but it's enclosed. So they turned it into I don't know. I don't want to say she did, but it was turned into kind of like a room, but it's more like a playroom. But we're in that portion of the house. We weren't able to go into the actual house. The police made them open the door so they could do a walkthrough. And one cop did a walkthrough in the house. The other cop was walking around the yard. Neither one of them found anything. Now, my sister was a tad bit of a hoarder. Tad bit. She had a little bit of shit everywhere. A little bit of something everywhere in her crib. I don't want to say messy, but she had a lot of shit. A lot of stuff. So, as the cops walking in, we're not allowed to, sorry if I'm breathing in the mic. We're not allowed to go in with him, with the cop. So he walks through. I can only go into the porch area. I can't actually go into the house. Now, the fact that I can't go into the house, I can't see into the living room and around the corner into the little hallway. I can't see into the hallway. Had I been able to see that hallway, I would have seen something that was out of place. But I wasn't able to go in there. We wasn't able to go in there. The police told us to stay out. And I was trying to listen, but at the same time, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't finding shit. Fuck you. Fuck that. But that's besides the point. I stayed on the porch. And my ex-wife, she stayed out there on the porch also. She would walk outside and she'd walk back in. She'd walk outside. She'd walk back in. And her husband, and the police just walked through the house. Didn't say anything. No weapons, nothing crazy, nothing out of place. But there was a square that was cut out of her carpet in that hallway. Like I said, we couldn't see that. From where we couldn't see that. So because there was so much shit in her house and she was a hoarder, they didn't notice that was out of place. Didn't think nothing of it. They walked through the bathroom, they looked, they didn't see anything out of place because there was just so much shit. Nothing seemed wrong. So he comes back out. The officer comes back out. Now, there was an exchange in words between me and him that wasn't bad. I don't want to say it was bad, but he comes back out to the porch where I'm at. And while he's talking to me on the porch, my ex-wife and my younger sister, Tasha, they go into the house, like into the living room, but not all the way into the living room, just like right there in a couple steps in. But the cop was standing right there, so they couldn't go past the officer and see around that corner. So they were only in just a couple feet, right? And he's talking to me, and he's like, man, you know I would never do nothing to your sister. I'm like, man, I don't want to hear none of that shit. I don't want to hear none of that shit. Nothing better not happen to my sister. And he's like, man, don't be like that, man. Don't be like that, man. You know nothing happened to your sister. Nothing's wrong with your sister. She just being Connie. Connie's just being Connie, man. You know how she is. She'll just get up and leave sometimes. And I'm like, man, get out my face, dog. Get out my face. I don't want to hear none of that. because if something happened to my sister, dog, all this shit's finna change real fast. Just get out my face. And the officer starts talking to my wife and the sister, my wife and my sister, my ex-wife and my sister. And I don't remember which one of them had a phone conversation. I think he had a phone conversation, and he was trying to prove to the officer that she had been up to no good, that she had been talking to these, I don't know, these cartel dudes and all this bullshit. He was trying to make up a story. But what he did was he made it seem like the jack that you plug a headphones into his phone, there was something stuck in the jack. And he was trying to make it sound like, well, I can't even, my speaker doesn't work, so I can't even show you because I can't even put this in here. But here's the audio right here. I recorded it. Here's the audio. And he's showing the officer, and the officer's like, well, I need to hear that. I want to hear that to see what it is, right? And there was no way to hear it. My ex-wife says, use my AirPods. I got my AirPods here. Links them. And the cops listening to one. I'm not sure if my ex-wife is listening to one. It's not on my mind. I can remember this, but I don't remember if she's got one and he's got one. I don't remember if the officer's got two or if there's only one. I don't remember that part. I wasn't paying attention to that. I didn't give a fuck about that. So as he's listening, the officer says, he says, nothing sounds too bad. He said, I can hear that, she was talking to a guy and she was talking to this, but it was not, he was trying to make it sound like she was in some deep shit with some money. That's what he was telling the officer. And the officer said it didn't sound like that. It sounded like there was some type of exchange in money, but it didn't sound like what he was trying to make it sound like. You know what I mean? Maybe she was going to do some work for him or something. Maybe she was going to do something for him, but he was trying to make it sound like it was some type of either some sex work or some drug work. That's what the husband was trying to make it sound like. And we all know, and everybody that knows Connie all know, that is not her. She don't rock like that. Bro, you tripping. Everybody knows that. But he was trying to tell this story to the officer, almost as if he's trying to get him off of his back and get him to leave the house, maybe think she's in some bad shit. So let's just wait to see what comes up. So the officer says what he says, he says what he says, and the officer's like, all right, we can't be in here longer than X amount of minutes, which I think is either 5 or 10 minutes. They can't be in the house longer than either 5 or 10 minutes. I don't remember which one it was, but they had to exit the house. And he comes out and he locks the door, so none of us can go back in. And it's him and her house, so the rules are the rules. That's what it is. I can't walk through, and I definitely can't shove past him and run through this house with the police right here. I could have, but what good is that going to do me, right? Not knowing any type of evidence, not knowing no type of facts. We don't know nothing right now. So, excuse me. So we sitting there, and the officer's like, what do you guys want to do? Because we don't have anything. We don't know anything. We don't see anything. And I'm like, all right, that's no big deal. We got to figure something out. We got to get to the bottom of where she's at. And we see her medicine bag. We see her car keys. We see her car parked outside. Nothing looks crazy. Nothing looks weird. You know what I mean? Everything looks fine. Again, we didn't go into the house and look around that corner in her hallway. We didn't go that far. So the officers leave. Now, my nephew and my sister Tasha and my ex-wife is sitting right here. Right here. They're parked right here in the driveway. And I'm standing right at the driver's door. My ex-wife is sitting in her car. And my nephew, my ex-wife asked, so do you want to go with Auntie Titi, which is her name's Tamika. And they're like, do you want to go with Auntie Titi or do you want to go with Auntie K, which is my sister, Katasha? And he says, I can't remember. I think he said he wants to go with Auntie K, right? He was, little dude's 8 years old at the time. Just a little dude. He wasn't really acting weird. Wasn't really acting, distraught. Nothing weird. He was just acting like a little kid. So he said he wanted to go with Auntie K. Now, Jaime's there, which is my sister's kid's dad. All right. He's there, a friend of mine, been around for years. He's there, and his car's parked out on the street. And my sister and my ex-wife sends my nephew out to the car, to Jaime's car parked out on the street. And the, we're talking to the little boy right before he goes out there, and he's not saying nothing. He's not saying nothing bad, nothing weird. But his dad's right here, and his grandma, which is his dad's mom, is standing right here also. So when they send the little boy out to the car, he goes out to the car, and I'm telling the officer before they pull off, like, hey, you might want to talk to that little boy, because if anybody's seen anything, he's seen something, because that little boy's been in the house with this dude, and it's been 6 days. Now, that's part of the story that I left out in the very beginning. Connie had been missing for 6 days, 6 full days. That entire week, it rained. The entire week, it rained. The only time it didn't rain is when it was sleety. Not sleety. It wasn't sleety. It was just misty. It was kind of misty out. It was September, mid-September, the very first couple weeks of September. You know what I mean? And it wasn't cold. It was just rainy and wet. You know what I mean? Not even quite chilly, just wet. So back to the boy going down to Jaime's car. The boy goes down, he opens the back door, he gets in the car. The cop walks over to him. Now, when I see the cop walking to my nephew to the back door, I go over by the cop, and the cop kind of kneels down, like just squats down, and he's almost eye to eye with my nephew. And he asked my nephew, so when's the last time you seen your mommy? And he was like, it's been a few days. And he's like, so what's the last thing you seen your mommy with? And my nephew's like, it was a sheet, a white sheet. It was a shower curtain and some smell goods out of the bathroom. Keep that in mind. He said white sheet, and then he said shower curtain, and then he said some smell goods out the bathroom. That's what this little boy said, 8 years old. Why would he say that? For one, a shower curtain. Why would she leave with a shower curtain? Keep that in mind. So as the officer is talking to the little boy and the little boy is talking to the officer, I'm kind of hovering over the officer, but I got my back to the officer's back. But I'm only a couple feet away from him. I'm literally directly above the officer. He's squatting down. I'm standing up. I just got my back to him, and I got my phone in my hand. I was trying to record it, but my phone wasn't. I couldn't record it. I couldn't move fast enough, and I'm nervous, like I'm irritated, pissed off, anxious, kind of nervous, and I don't get like that. I don't get like that. I'm pretty focused when shit gets rocky, gets crazy. But this situation, everything was fucked up, and I knew something was wrong. I could feel something was wrong. So as the cop is asking him, he says, so is there anything else you remember? Do you remember seeing your mom? Do you remember her talking to anybody? And he was like, nope. And the little boy, he's just sitting there. And remind you, his dad is still back over there on the other side, like closer towards the driveway where my ex-wife is and my sister Tasha is. And the husband's about to get in the car and leave. Him and his mom's about to get in the car and leave, but they're not leaving yet. We all leave about the same time. Now this officer's still there. All of us were still here, right? So as he didn't get much from the little boy, and then I backed up, and the officer stood up, and the officer went to his car. We said, all right, thank you for everything. Officers drove away. Both officers in the same car drove away. He got in the car and he left. None of us said nothing to him. Him and his mom, they got in the car and left. My nephew was in the car with Jaime and Tasha, but Tasha was standing up beside Mika's car, and they hadn't left yet. They were still standing there. So I walked back over to the car, up to them, and I'm like, so what do y'all think? What do y'all think? What's going on? And they say the same thing to me. I don't know. What do you think? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not sure which one of them said. I think Tasha or Tamika said, look, we're going to go up to Dad's house. My dad lives 2 minutes up the road, 2 minutes tops, straight up the road, make a corner, and it's right there. So we jump in the car and we go over there. Mind you, her husband has just drove off now. He's just drove off. Cop's gone. He's gone. And now we're all leaving. So it's me in my car, and then Mika in her car, and I'm not sure if her friend was with her or if my sister was with her. I can't remember. There was a couple other people there that very moment, and I just it blanked out of my mind because I ain't give a fuck about none of that. So we go up to my dad's house, two or three different cars, and we're like, hey, my brother's there, and I think my sister Felicia is there. My brother Josh and my sister Felicia, and we're like, yay, what's up with Connie? Have y'all seen her talk to Connie? No, we ain't seen her talk to her. Y'all haven't at all? Like, since when? Not for a good week, at least a week. They both said the same thing. So we're like, oh shit. Now, between my ex-wife and my sister Tasha, one of them said, we never checked his car. None of us looked in his car. And we're like, oh shit. So we all like, let's go back down there right now. Let's go back down there. Maybe he came back. So we shoot back down there real fast. He's not there. Gone. Right. And I parked on the opposite side of the road, and I'm facing traffic. So if traffic was coming down the road, they'd literally be, I'd be on their side of the road closest towards her house, which is on the driver's side of my vehicle. And her driveway is right here on the driver's side of my vehicle. The neighbor directly across the street, my sister Tasha, walks over there and she's asking these people, so have you seen or heard anything? Because my sister's missing. She's been missing, and everybody knows Connie. That nobody can overlook this woman. This woman, she had a weird way of doing things sometimes. Not crazy, but crazy. Like, you couldn't tell this woman nothing. If she decided she wanted to take her trash out and she had her panties and bra on, she didn't give a damn who was watching. She'd take her trash out and you be like, what are you doing? She'd be like, it's just bra and panties. It ain't like everybody ain't seen boobs and booty. And we're like, girl, you can't move like that. You can't do that. You're going to go to jail. But that's who she was. She didn't care. She did her thing and she was back in the house. So barefooted, whatever. She didn't care. So this woman across the street, they knew her because they've seen her all the time. And they're like, the lady, at this moment, I'm sitting in the Jeep, in my Jeep. My windows are halfway down. And my ex-wife is sitting right here beside me. And she's talking to me. But my mind ain't catching what she's saying because I'm thinking. And my mind moves real fast. So I'm thinking all these different scenarios on where he might be and where he might be going. I need to find him. I need to find him right now. So as she's talking to me, I'm not really hearing, but I hear the lady across the street on the passenger side of my Jeep through the window say, I haven't seen him, but he's been burning something all week. So Connie had a 50-gallon drum that she used as a burn barrel. And she had all kind of shit that she'd put in there and she just burned it. Just burn shit. Now, keep in mind, I said it had been raining the entire week. What does fire hate? Water. So when she said that he had been burning stuff all week, I'm like, her burn barrel. We didn't look in that burn barrel. Mika's in the passenger seat. She was talking to me. I jump out of the Jeep and I walk up there to that burn barrel. Now, I'm not sure if she got out the Jeep and talked to my sister. I'm not sure what they did, but I know Tasha was kind of walking around. She was kind of looking to see if she can see anything around the yard that looked off, but she didn't go to the backyard. She didn't go back behind the shed. They were kind of looking around the front and they were just kind of a little talking here and there. I think by this time, my niece Jordan had showed up and my sister Felicia had showed up. I want to say somebody else was there also, but like I said, my mind wasn't on none of that. So I can't remember who was there at that exact moment. I know what I was looking for and I know what my mind was doing. So I walked up to this burn barrel. Mind you, cop's gone. Her husband's gone. It's just us that I just named. We've all came back. This is the second initial visit here within minutes. And I took a stick and I go down in the burn barrel and I'm moving stuff around, just ashes. It looked like paper. It looked like stuff like that. There was a limb that had been, I want to say knocked down like it was the storm. There was a storm that week, and a tree directly out in front of her yard had fallen from, I don't know if it was a rain or lightning hit it. I don't know what it was. But it was laying across her sidewalk, and it wasn't that big. It was probably two tree limbs, and they were probably about the size of a basketball thick. You know, two of them side by side, and they looked like they were up together, and they both fell together. That's what it looked like. But there was pieces cut off of it. Not the tree itself wasn't cut up. Pieces were cut off of the tree, like some of the limbs, some of the smaller limbs were cut off the tree, but the big piece was still there. And it stretched out pretty far in the yard. Not far, maybe 10 feet, maybe 10 feet. So it went across the whole sidewalk. You had to step over it to get to Mika's car that was parked in the driveway. From her front door, you step over it right to her car in the driveway. But I'm at this burn barrel, and I'm seeing there's limbs in there. There's tree stumps in there, probably maybe that big and round, but they have been cut with a chainsaw or a regular saw. You could tell they were cut with a saw. It wasn't they weren't broken. They were cut, and they were wet. You can tell they were wet from water, and partially burned. A lot of them was partially burned, right? So now I'm looking at the tree. I walk over to the tree, and I'm looking at this tree, and I'm seeing all these stumps cut off this tree. But why ain't the tree cut up, right? I look at how the tree fell, trying to see if it was cut down or if it was actually hit by lightning and fell down. And it had fallen down. It didn't look like it was pushed down or actually broken. It looked like it had, it was kind of old, and it looked like it just fell over. The main tree was still there, but those two big stumps, because the tree grew out in a three like that, and two of them fell over. So I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at the tree, and I'm just trying to do my math on, okay, this don't look like he was fucking with nothing. All right, so let me walk around and see what else I can find. So now my eyes is hitting every little thing, trying to see everything. Now, from where her house is, her shed is directly behind her house, and there's just enough room to park a car between the house and the shed, right in the back. This is on the back side of the house. So I walk where a car would be on the one side of the house, walked between the shed and the house, and then walked on the other side on the back side of the shed. So as I'm on the back side of that shed, them in the front, they can't see me. So I walk that long way down the shed, and I get ready to turn the corner. Now there's a big ditch back there, wooded area ditch. You can kind of see through if the trees are still green. You can kind of see through, but it's tough because there's so many limbs. It's a wooded area, but it's not very deep, so you can see through it. There's an O'Reilly's and the Burger King right back there on MLK. That's where her backyard went right out to, but there's a big ditch in there, a wooded area ditch in there. As I'm standing there on the backside of her shed, though, I look down and I see a burn pile. Like something has clearly been burnt right here. Now I can only turn the corner on the backside of the shed. The shed's a square. I've came in between the house, went to my right, went down the backside of the shed, and I was about to turn the right to go around the shed again. But I'm standing there at the corner of that shed before I turn the right on the backside of the shed. I'm just at the corner. Now look down. There's a small little pathway for me to go right. Just a little tiny little pathway, walk pathway for me to go right. Directly in front of me, there's like a small little fence, maybe, I don't know, maybe 20 inches tall, 24 inches tall, but it's not a fence. It looks like one of those little chicken style fence. It's not even that. It's not the chicken coops type of fence. It's some different shit. I don't know what they would use for a flower bed. It's more like the design type of fencing, but it's metal, and that's sitting there. So I know I ain't finna go down in this ditch. This burn pile is right here, so I grab a stick and I'm kind of moving the burn pile. Didn't see anything, right? It just looks like papers. It looks like shit. Just, doesn't look like there was part of a tarp there, though. And like I said, there was nothing in the burn barrel, nothing that seemed strange. I moved it around a lot. Nothing in this burn pile. Moved it around a lot with a stick. Didn't see anything. So I'm looking around and I see a couple more limbs right here in front of me, which is on the other side of this short little fence. I just kind of bend down. The shed is still right here. I can touch the shed. It's right here on my right side. I can touch the shed, the corner of it right here. I just came this way and I'm about to turn right. The corner of the shed's right here. This walkway is directly in front of me. I'm about to go to my right. I just look down and I see these limbs from that same tree. They had been cut and they were just sitting in this one little spot. Now it's quite a few of them, but they're just about this much. And it looked like they had just been tossed over here in this little area, not broken, not fallen. It looked like they had been tossed there, and there's some plastic right here. So I just reached down and I just grabbed the plastic and I lifted up the plastic. And I saw, looks like almost like the inside of a tree trunk, the color of the inside of a tree trunk if it was to get wet, how it would go to that, like a caramely peanut butter color, a lighter wood color. And it looked like a wooden table. And it had a weird, not a film, but just a weird color to it. And it just looked weird to me, but it was way lighter than my sister. My sister and I share about the same skin tone, right? She's about my skin tone. She might be a slight little bit lighter than me, but just barely. But this what I thought was a table or a piece of wood was way lighter than me. I'm talking lighter than this part of my hand. Way lighter than me. Way lighter. And I'm looking at this and I see two eyes, right? And it resembles my sister's tattoo on the lower part of her back. And it's just two eyes with eyebrows. That's all it is. It's just eyes and an eyebrow. And I just yell for Tamika. Tamika! And she's comes back there. I said, is that my sister's tattoo? And she just started screaming. As soon as she seen the tattoo, she started screaming. It was her back. She was laying on her belly. She would have been face down, but all you could see was her naked torso and her butt. But her legs were cut off by a chainsaw directly below her butt, and there was no arms and no head. And I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way. She takes off screaming. My sister Felicia's on her way back here. She sees her and she freaks out. She starts screaming. Now I'm trying to keep everybody back, and I'm like, call the police. Go up there and call the police. Tell them to come back. Tell them to get back here right now. And I'm standing right there. Now me, being me, thinking way faster than I should be thinking, and trying not to get rattled and trying not to get nervous and weirded out. And I grab my phone and I take 2 pictures. Picture, snap, snap. And I did that for a reason. I'll come back to that later. So now my niece Jordan, she comes back there and she's freaking out. She's going crazy. She's ready to go kill this dude, and all of them everybody's screaming. Everybody's crazy, and I'm trying to keep everybody from just trampling over all this burn pile right here, because you literally have to damn near step in it to get to where she's at. It's literally right here where I'm standing, and you can only go to the right. So it's literally right here. And as they're calling the police, I'm standing there, and I won't let nobody come back there. When the police finally did pull up, I'm still standing there. They come back there, and it was one of the officers, but now it's a bunch of other officers. I'm not sure who called the police. I'm not sure which one made the initial call. I'm not sure who was talking, whether that be my sister, whether that be Tamika, my niece. I'm not sure who made the initial call. One of them made the initial call. So when the police got there, I'm standing there, and he walks by me, and he's like, "Yeah, put up the tape. put up the tape. He's talking to one of the other officers. He's like, put up the tape. And he wants us to kind of walk back to the front side of the shed so they can kind of set up this little perimeter. As they set up this perimeter, I'm standing there, and now news crews start to show up. The fire truck shows up. The ambulance shows up. All these police cars show up. Just everybody showing up. And I'm walking around with a burner in my waist with a whole damn extendo hanging out the bottom of it, because if I see this dude, there's nothing stopping me from going to prison. There's nothing stopping me from. If they would have had him in the police car, I would have ate that car up. And I know that is not something that Connie would have wanted. I know she didn't want that. I know there's a reason that he was gone when I found her. I know there was a reason, because had he been there, this story wouldn't be this story. It'd be a completely different story. And then, so just keep that in mind. It'd be completely different. I would have aired that whole police car out. They would have had to kill me right there. That's where my mind was. I wanted him right now. There was nothing that was going to stop me from getting to him if he would have been there. So I guarantee Connie was the reason that dude wasn't there. And it's good. It's good that it happened that way. So I stood there. I was just in a daze. Everybody tried to talk to me. I'm just leave me alone. Don't talk to me. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want nobody talking to me. This is my ex-wife. This is my sister. This is behind me. This is everybody. I don't want to hear nobody. Just leave me alone. Don't talk to me. But as I'm standing here, and this huge ass group of police pull up in here, and they're walking around and they're looking and they're doing their thing, and I got this whole fucking 30 pack just hanging out of my waist. One of the officers says, I can't imagine what you're going through. I cannot imagine what you're going through. He says, I don't know what I would do or what I would think if I was to find my sister like that. I said, but just please, he said, just please hear me out. Just please hear me out. He said, these guys, these officers, they want to catch this guy bad. And he says, when somebody is moving around and they have a fully loaded firearm with that many hanging out of the bottom of it, he said, it kind of makes them nervous. He says, is it possible? Could I please ask you to put that in your vehicle or something? He said, I know what you're going through. I don't mean for it to sound rude or nothing. He says, I'm not trying to be insensitive here. I just, for the sake of what these guys may be thinking and dealing with, is it possible you can put, I was like, man, my bad. I didn't even think about it. It didn't even cross my mind. I'll put it away. Put it away. And I came back up there. A couple of the officers came over and asked me a couple questions, and that was pretty much the end of it. I sat out there for the longest. I had to call my boss and tell him, man, this is what I got going on, man. I ain't gonna be able to come back to work right now. I got this thing. I got to handle this thing. I told him what it was. I told him exactly what it was, and I just found my sister's completely dismembered torso. And he's like, are you fucking serious? He's like, dude, take all the time you need. If you got to take a week, take all the time you need. I'm like, I'll call you back a little bit later. Let me see what's going on here. So we handle what we got to handle there. A couple hours go by. They're doing their thing. You know how that goes. They walk back there in that ditch that's back there. They don't find anything. They don't find hands, feet, legs, arms, head, nothing. They don't find anything. But they also don't look very good. And I could see, because I'm paying a fucking attention to what I'm looking at. Like, there's all these neighbors' houses over here. I don't see them walking in neighbors' backyard. If you put yourself in the position of the fucking killer, the dude that done this shit, just think of the possibility of just flinging something over your shoulders. It could be in any one of these yards. So if that was the case, wouldn't you want to go check these other yards that are all backed up to her yard? That's what I'm thinking. So I'm watching. I'm trying to see, is any of these officers going to jump these fences or go around to these other houses and look in these yards? No. Not a fucking one. So now I'm a little irritated, and I want to know what the fuck, why they not walking, why they not looking for shit. They looking, but they not looking. I mean, I'm turning shit over. That's the same shit that they did. The reason they walked right past that first officer that walked right past that same little burn pile, not the burn barrel, that burn pile on the back of that shit. He walked that same direction. I watched him walk that direction twice. He walked it one direction and he turned around. He walked it the other direction. He walked past that same piece of plastic she was under twice. The same one that I lifted up and saw her twice. He was less than 15 inches from her. Less than 15 inches from her. His feet went right by her twice. When I found her, she was right there. So the same way he's not looking, the same way they're not looking. These other officers, I don't know what they are, just down there just walking all in this little field. You know, it's not a field. It's a wooded area. It's a ditch back there. They don't find anything, nothing at all. So a little bit later, some hours go by and they say, we need to come down to the police department and give a statement. So me and my ex-wife, my sister, Tasha, we all go down there, and my nephew goes, of course, with Jaime and the other kids, Tasha's other kids, which is cool. I believe, if I got that wrong, my mind was so shot that I can't remember who was there. I know Mika was there, and I know Tasha was there, and Tasha had her phone, and I'm trying to pay attention to what's Tasha's looking through this phone, going through this phone, and she's fucking with the phone thing, and my mind just ain't there. I see the phone, but the officer, the detective calls us in, and we having a conversation with him, and we giving a statement. You know, he pulls Mika in, and she gives a statement. Tasha in, we gives a statement. Now we're sitting there, and this dude's mama comes up there. Now she didn't come to. She came over there where we was. They brought her. I don't know if they brought her. I'm pretty sure they brought her. I don't think she turned herself in. I'm pretty sure they brought her, and they brought her over here to give a statement. Now, Tasha and Mika was on edge, and they ready to attack this bitch. So I'm sorry for calling her bitch.
Look, I didn't mean to say that. I was a jerk.
But besides the point, they were ready to attack her, and I told the officer, "Hey, you might want to get his mom out of here before something bad happens. Ain't none of y'all gonna be able to stop what happens next. Y'all might want to get her out of here." And he said, "You ain't planning on anything, are you?" I'm like, "I ain't planning on nothing." I said, "But if something happened, you ain't gonna be able to get them two off of her. I'm telling you right now, you're not gonna be able to get neither one of them two off of her. You might want to move her." So they put her in the room, and they talked to his mom. Now, I don't know the full story of what his mom said. I don't know, but I do recall her saying at the house before they left and before the police left and before we all left, I do recall her saying maybe Connie went to Broadline. You know, she would go check herself in every once in a while just because she didn't feel like dealing with the world. She'd do that every once in a while on a weekend. She'd spend the weekend at Broadlines, just like one of those mental health type of things. And she did do that every once in a while. You know, almost like it was her little peace to myself day. Nothing wrong. She checked herself in, and when the weekend was over, she'd go home and everything would be cool. So I know Connie could have done that, but she ain't going without her her medicine bag. She ain't going without her phone. She ain't going without car keys. How the hell she gonna get there? Walk? That's not, even though she was right there, she wasn't gonna walk. So it just, you know, for her to say that was almost beyond me. Like, why would you be bringing that up while we looking for her? And one of the things that I heard her say is, how do you know? You never know. She's probably back there in the backyard somewhere being stupid. Now, what did you just say? Well, we hadn't got to her body yet. We hadn't seen her yet. We didn't know nothing yet. We hadn't got there. He was still there. His mama was still there. We hadn't left and came back. So when she said that, we didn't catch on to that. She said it in a joking manner, as if she said back there. She didn't say in the backyard. She said she's probably back there somewhere being stupid. Who knows? Like, almost like joking. but that's how she said it. So now that she's in there, she's talking to this detective downtown at this fucking place. Me, Tasha, I think it's me, Tasha, Felicia never came. I think my niece was there. Yeah, my niece was there, and Tasha and Tamika was there. I think it was like 4 or 5 of us there. I want to say it was 4 or 5 of us down there. And they put us in this other little room. So anytime his mom walked by, there was no problem. There was no drama. There was no yip yapping and nothing, because she was the woman was in danger. She was in danger. There was too much. It's too much for too many people. She was in danger, right? Especially when we started talking like, did y'all hear her say this at the house before? Did y'all hear her say that? No, the fuck she didn't. Nah. Are you serious? That bitch is right there. Do you know what can happen to her? So it was a very dangerous situation for her, even though everybody was in this damn police department. So as we're sitting in this room, the windows are open. Of course, it's the police department, but we're upstairs. The windows are open, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm leaning over the window, like into the window, and my forehead is up against the glass, and I'm just thinking. The glass is a little bit cool, and then my head is right up against the glass. I'm just looking outside and just looking, and I'm thinking. And I see his car on the back of a flatbed tow truck, and they're bringing it to the police department. So I know they got him. I see that's his car, and his mama's already here. So then the lady comes in there and said, we got him. They got him. He was trying to flee. He was trying to go back to Kansas City, where he's from. They caught him in some little town just not too far from here. Now, they caught this dude because Mika, her detective ass, was smart enough to take pictures of his car while he was there at the house before we all departed and left, before we came back and found her. This detective motherfucker was smart enough to take pictures of his car, of the license plate, the front, the side, the back. She got every angle of this damn car. I'm a very crucial thinker and didn't think about that shit. Didn't think about it. But I wanted my hands on the dude. I just didn't know enough information at the time. So when I see this car pulling up on this, or coming in on this flatbed, coming down the road on this flatbed, I know that's his car. I know it's his car. And she goes into, not she, they pull the car around. I don't know where the car goes. And I'm asking the officer, I asked one of the officers at the time, he didn't know. I said, so what happened with him? Did y'all find him? Where was he at? And he was like, the officer says, I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't tell you that much. He said, the only information I have is what you guys have right now. He said, I'm here just to kind of see what's going on. But the lady comes, there's a lady. I'm not sure who the lady was. I'm not sure what her part plays in none of this. But she comes in there and she says, yeah, he's in custody. They found him. He was trying to flee. He was down by whatever town it was. And I'm just like, that's cool. Excuse me. I'm like, that's cool. That's cool. Is he coming here? And they're like, he'll be here. He'll be here. I'm like, when? When's he coming here? And they're like, well, we don't know when he's coming here. They ain't giving me that information. But I tried to sit around and squeeze every minute out of it. I wanted to see if he was coming to this hallway. If he was coming to this hallway, it's gonna be a whole fucking problem. Now I didn't have my banger on me because I'm in the police department. You know how that goes. But don't think there ain't other ways to get shit cracking. So he ends up never coming down this hallway. And then they tell us we can leave. So we go downstairs, we get in the car to leave. And the reason, let me come back to these pictures real quick. The reason that I took these pictures, those 2 pictures, and I've never sent them to anybody. The only reason that I took these 2 pictures is because I'm the type of person that don't run from heartache and pain. I don't run from what tortures me. I don't run from nothing that taunts and haunts me. I don't run from shit. I don't. I run into it. I need to get through it. I'm not trying to go over or around it. I need to go through it because I cannot let it break me. So I took these 2 pictures. And when I took these 2 pictures, my mind says, when the time comes for you to go to court, you cannot let your little sister nor your ex-wife identify that body. You cannot let them see that. So I already know I'm going to have to be the one that goes on the stand. So I looked at those pictures. For a few days. I looked at those pictures and it hurt like hell to see your sister, your older sister, as damn near your mama, because my mom died years ago. My mom died in 2013, and Connie died in 2020. We had just buried our grandma the month or two before that, right before this, down in Arkansas. So this has all been a crazy situation already. We had already buried damn near 20 people, just 20 people between family members and people we know, damn near 20 people in just a short 5 years. That's how many people. And this one right here was the motherfucker. This one was a big one because this one was violent. You know what I mean? So what I did was, as I told myself, I gotta come up with a way to make it through until it's time to go to court, right? And what I did is I started watching The Walking Dead. Again, most people would run from this picture. Most people would try to delete it. Most people would scroll past it when they're scrolling through their phone. And there was many days where I was in my head and in my thoughts and my feelings where I couldn't scroll past that picture. And I had to stop and I had to stare at that picture, stare at that picture, stare at that picture. Some people would think that that's disturbing. Some people would think that it is. But you don't have an idea how my fucking brain works. I'm drilling this in. And I put the phone away. And there was some times where I went through my phone days, and there was weeks later that I'd scroll and I'd be looking for something on my phone, and I knew that it was coming up, so I'd scroll past it. And then I knew that I'd scroll past it, and I would kind of, okay, it's gone. And I keep scrolling, looking for what I'm looking for. There was numerous days that I went through that shit. Running from it, run into it. Running from it, run into it. Gotta see it. I can't see it. Right? So I forced myself to watch the entire, I don't remember if it was 1, 2, or 9. I don't remember. I watched every bit of The Walking Dead that I could watch until there was no more episodes, no more seasons to watch. And I need to watch more. But keep in mind, it was an exact year from the time that I found her until they gave her body back to us, because it went to Texas down to a, what do they call that? Where they go over the body and they investigate the body and all that. What do they call that? Anyway, that shit, right? And it was almost a week away from 1 year that her body was gone. They gave her body back to come back up here the week before court. We hadn't seen her from that day, right? There was no walking into there and opening the refrigerator to identify. There was nothing. Nothing, absolutely nothing. It was all in Texas the whole time. Even when it came back, we weren't able to identify nothing, see nothing. All we had was pictures. So they prep you, they bring you in, and they ask, like, so, you know, who wants to identify the body here? And this was like the pre-court trial. And this is when we all had to go in there, me, Tasha, Tamika, and I think my niece came, my sister Felicia didn't come to that one either. No idea where she was at. But we had to go in there. We had to talk to Connie's attorneys, and they said they were going to show pictures. And are you going to be okay with them showing the pictures? I'm like, I'm all right. I've been working on it. I'll be okay. He said, are you sure? Those pictures are pretty gruesome. I said, I got my own set of pictures too. And they said, you took pictures? I said, I did take pictures. They said, do you want to email them? Absolutely not. They're not going nowhere. And I said, you got pictures, right? They said, yeah, they got pictures. I said, you got your pictures? I got my pictures. So no, I'm not sending my pictures. And I said, cool. As the court date came around, just like I thought, they showed pictures. And when they showed the pictures, my sister was not in the room and Mika was not in the room. I was on the stand and they asked me, so exhibit this, exhibit that, is what do you see here? What is this? Who is that? And I said, that's my sister. And he's sitting right here, right there. I can see this dude. But as the picture comes up, I just give him, I look at the picture and I look directly at him. I say, yep, that's her. That's my sister. Looking right at him. Look at the picture, look right at him. And they show the other picture. And I'm like, yep, that's her. That's her. And they said, do you know, what do you think happened? Or do you know who might have done this? Who might have done this? And I said, yep, I have an idea exactly who I think done it. Looking at him the whole time. Man, and I was it. They didn't ask me who, they didn't ask me that. They just asked, did I have an idea who I think might have done this? And that was it. And I can't even lie. I had mixed feelings as to what I wanted to do. Part of me saying, I'll tear this whole goddamn room up. There's no way these 3 fucking cops are gonna keep me off this dude. They're gonna have to really hurt me. And if we get there, we get there. A part of me is saying that. And the other part of me is saying, don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. Past this day, you still have a life to live and you still have people that depend on you. So if you be stupid, your clock stops too. What's the purpose in that? You know what I'm saying? There's 2 lives that's done here. Done. Not still moving. Done. And if I make this decision, it's going to be 3 because I'm going to be locked up with him. If not out of here. So what's the purpose in that? I understand what you want to do. This is what I'm saying to myself. I know the feeling, but that's what I'm telling myself. So I walk right back past this dude and I just keep it. I keep it cool. Walk past him and I go out in the hallway and I handle my business. Right, do my thing, and I don't attack him. I don't attack him, which is cool. Which is crazy, but it's cool. So that is how I was able to deal with seeing what I saw and not really letting it fuck me up, over time. I mean, when mom died, when dad died, when my best friend JoJo died and TJ died, another best friend of mine, when all these people started leaving my life, dying, you know what I'm saying? It'll cause you to really think and really look at some shit. You know what I mean? It'll cause you really open your eyes to see some shit. But Connie was entirely different. She didn't have a chance. She didn't know what was coming. You get what I'm saying? At least these people were either sick or just dropped, just gone. You get what I'm saying? Like something just happened. They were just gone. But this situation was different. None of those were violent. This one was violent. So in my mind, it was just all bad because I had already made peace with death. I had had so much loss that I had already made peace with death. I understand it is death is the only promise that's for always kept. It is the only one that's kept no matter what. There's no way around that promise. It is always kept. Any other promise can be altered, but death is never altered. It is what it is. I made peace with this. So if somebody was going to die, no matter who it was, I accepted the fact that I get it. They're not promised to be here forever. I can be in my feelings and I can wish this person to stay, but it doesn't make me right. It doesn't make the situation right. If they come, if they go, I mean, if they stay, if they go, I ain't God. I ain't God. It is what it is. So like I said, I've made peace with it. But with this situation, I was at peace that she was dead. I was not at peace with how she died. That fucked with me. And all I wanted, the only thing that I wanted, I would have sold everything in my possession to get 10 minutes in a room with this dude. Just 10 minutes. It would have been something real bad. I would have given up everything for 10 minutes in a room with this dude. If it didn't cost me my life away from my kids, and I would have given it all up. But I mean, to the point to where I was willing to even put a hit out on this dude. I was willing to take it that fucking far. And you know, when you really in that type of mindset, you know, you really start thinking and you really start doing some weird shit. So you start talking to people and you start linking up with certain people. You start having some real nasty thoughts and what you can do and just what you're capable of. And you'll really put some things to work. So I'll find out where the dude's dad lives, where his mom lives, who his family members is, and you know what I'm saying, where they stay. I figure out all this shit and my mind starts twisting and turning because now I want to get reckless. But for what? Boy, if you do that, it's going to be this, this, and this. Yeah, but fuck that. You know what I mean? And I've never just done shit out of spite. And I've never just done shit without thinking. I'm a thinker. I'm a deep thinker. So I plan some shit. And I come up with all the information and I'll make a move based on what's in front of me, the information that's in front of me. And something said, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. You have way too much to lose and you don't need nothing coming back on you because I cannot walk out of these kids' life. I'm here for a reason. I cannot walk out of these kids' life. So I left it alone. I got a little bit of information. I got a little bit more information on him, on his family. I got all this information and I stockpiled this information and I had this fucked up ass plan. But at some point I let the plan go. I let it go. I strayed away from the plan. And as much as I heard people say, he needs to die. Somebody needs to do to him what he done to her. He needs to have a slow, painful death and this, and this. As much as I heard that, I thought about it. And I said, I don't give a damn how he dies. It's too soon. I don't want him dead. Now I've changed my mind to my original thoughts at this point, and this was months later. I said I don't want nobody to put their hands. I don't want nobody to beat him up. I don't want nobody to hurt him. I don't want nobody to do nothing to his family. You know what I mean? They're just product of the environment. They're just part of who he is. They didn't, you know what I mean? Whether they helped or didn't help, it doesn't matter. I said I don't want nothing to happen to them. But I want this dude to live to be 120 years old. And as he becomes older and old and starting to get crippled and starting to lose his mind and starting to lose his eyes and his hearing, I want her voice. I want the image of her. I want her smell to come back to him. I want everything about her to haunt his ass. I want it to haunt his ass until he takes his last breath. I don't want him to die. I want him to live as long as he can and have to deal with what he did. Because I know that type of haunting right there will fuck you up. I know it will. You can't do something bad. This is not who you are. You can't do something this terrible and not have that haunt you later in your life. You can't. Nobody can. That shit, Vietnam gave my dad nightmares of what he had to do over there to people. And he was trained for this shit. Trained. Do you know how many men go through PTSD and fucked up for doing the very thing that they were trained to do? This dude was not trained. So I'm already knowing he's going to break. He may break in 2 years. He may break in 5. He may break in 20. He's going to break. He's going to break. Even if he gets old enough to where they let him out and he breaks out here, he's going to break. It's going to destroy him here. He may be an old man. Doesn't matter. He's still got to live with it. He's got to live with it. And that's why I said, I don't want nothing to happen with it. I don't want nothing to happen to him. I asked myself, but do you forgive him? And part of me says, no, I'll never fucking forgive him. But the other part of me knows forgiveness ain't for them. Forgiveness is for you. So now I say, I have to forgive this motherfucker. I have to forgive him. If I don't forgive him, this is on me. This is on me. How can I ask for credit when I cannot give credit? That is how forgiveness works. If I cannot give this dude forgiveness, then how can I expect to get forgiveness when it's my time? So I can't, right? I can't. It's impossible. So I said, I'm going to forgive him. 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 I'm going to do what I can to forgive him and put the thought and the ill thoughts behind me. I'm going to forgive him. But then myself questions myself again. But what if you see this dude and now the thoughts come back? Boy, I'm afraid it's going to be smoke in the city. Man. So those thoughts come back just like that. And then the other part comes back again. It's like, it is what it is. Here's what you got to remember. It's myself talking to myself. Here's what you got to remember. The God you believe ain't going to put y'all in the same room together. So don't even have the thoughts. And that's when I said, point taken. Point taken. If I couldn't be in the same room with him the day I found her, why is it possible that the law of averages and the way that I believe, there's no way that I would ever get the opportunity to be in the same room as this dude? Not before I'm at a point to where I don't want to put my hands on him. Before that, there's no way I'll be in the same room as him. It won't happen. My creator, my God, my creator wouldn't allow that. It wouldn't allow it, because what's capable is, so there's some other points in there that wasn't really necessary to tell, but that's pretty much the entire story of what happened to my sister. You know what I mean? I hadn't told this story. It's been happening in 2020 and it's 2024. And I've told the story to the people that are real close to me, but to the people who didn't know the full story and didn't ask me because they didn't want to bug me, bother me, worry me with it. This is it. This is the story. So the police put a short little thing in the newspaper and on the Facebook, and you know how they have the Facebook page, the police Facebook page and all that. They put their short little shit on there, and they of course they got to do what they do, you know, take credit for finding her and shit. Like, I ain't find shit, but I ain't gonna get mad about it. It is what it is. I know what the truth is, and I don't need to be right about it. And I don't need to go talking and telling everybody like, it's what it is. I ain't tripping about it. No, you know what I mean? So it just, I don't know. Looking backwards, it is every single thing that I've said in every one of my videos and every one of my clips. These are conversations at some point that I've had with Connie. And she was always like, that's a great point. I never thought about it like that. I never thought, keep in mind, she's 8 years older than me. 8 years older than me. And every point that I've ever made, even when we didn't agree, she didn't agree. If there was ever a time she didn't agree and I broke it down to her, she was like, damn, I ain't think about it like that. Boy, you know you belong to mom. You know you belong to mom. I know better. I ain't stupid. This is her. I ain't stupid. I know I can think. But that thought came directly from mom. There's no way that I didn't think of that. So that's the type of conversations that me and her had. And we've had some real nice conversations. You know, one of our last conversations was about my niece, Diamond. Diamond, if you're watching this, I love you, baby. You know, but one of our last conversations, me and Connie, was about Diamond and how proud of Diamond she was and what Diamond meant to her. So, and I had been wanting to come around, get around Diamond and really, you know what I'm saying, take her under my wing and show her, you know, like, baby, a man is supposed to do this. A man is supposed to do this. A man's treatment is this. And a king's treatment is this. And this is how a man's supposed to treat you, baby. So when you meet this guy and you got the right guy, and just make sure you can identify this and you can identify that. But before I could take her under my wing, she got it. Diamond was seeing it. She was seeing what was good and what was bad. And she was staying away from the bad. So I had a few buddy of mine that was like, man, is that your niece? Is that your blood niece? What the fuck are you asking for? You know what I mean? So she's off limits. Don't you dare. She's off limits. And if you're watching this, you know who you are. And no disrespect, bro. It's no disrespect. It is what it is, but that's my baby. Diamond's my baby. So that's why that is. You know what I'm saying? I was supposed to stay close to her to keep fuckery out of her life. Me and her mama talked about that. So, Diamond, if you're watching this, yeah, me and Connie had numerous talks about you. So, if you had any questions, she loved you. But yeah, I just thought you guys should know the real story about that and the little details. One of the things that bothered me and worried me was that one day, over all this time, one day, it would be on the news or on Facebook or something. Oh, somebody's dog found a hand in the backyard or an arm in the backyard or a foot or something in the backyard, or somehow a head would turn up or something. And this shit would hit the news again. And my baby sister would have to see this shit. Or my nephew would have to see this shit. You know, and it bothered me. It bothered me to think that they could have to see this shit. I don't want them to have to see this shit. I don't want them to have to see it. It's one thing to know that it happened. It's different to see this shit. And my mind works differently. So I would take that I would sacrifice it all. I would take that so that they don't have to. You know what I mean? And throughout that time when my nephew was kind of going bad and he was having a little, you know, some bad times throughout there, within there, he was kind of going through some shit and his mind was fucking with him. You know, it got to the point to where he couldn't have his dad's name anymore. And we, you know, found out that he had saw some things in that house that week that he shouldn't have saw. And excuse me. And as a kid, you know, there's some things that can change you because you've been a kid before. You've been a kid before. We've all been kids before. You know, it don't take much to change you. All it takes is a thought. Imagine seeing what this little boy might have seen at 8 years old. There was a point where he said to the officer, you know, not the officer, maybe it was to my sister, it was to somebody, but I remember them telling me that this little boy said he saw his dad with something and his dad said, "This is my deer." I had to cut up my deer, you know. It was my deer. You fucking with this little boy's head. We just, you know what I'm saying, throwing these words out there. You saying this shit, and this boy didn't know what to think of it. So are you saying my dear is in my woman, or are you trying to make the boy think that is, yeah, that's all you can think of to say my dear, but you want the little boy to think dear animal? Because he saw some blood. He saw you doing something that nobody wants to see being done to nobody, but it's your way of cutting it or covering it up. It's your way of covering it up. So yeah, that little boy, he saw some shit. And I hope like hell as he gets older, it doesn't tarnish him. It doesn't change him, you know. And yeah, we go through some shit and we learn and we try to protect those around us, but we'll see. As he get older, we'll have a talk. And I'll get in his ear and see what he thinks and feels. He's getting about that age now to where it's about that time. You know what I'm saying? He's still got a little bit of time, but it's getting about that time where we start having some talks. And yeah, at some point when he's through his healing, if that ever comes, hopefully he already has. Hopefully, I don't know. My sister has, and to anybody who's wondering, my younger sister Tasha has adopted him. So that's his mom now. And his name is not what it was. His name has changed. So yeah, things are different there and it's all good. He's doing real good though. And he's with her kids and yeah, they've accepted him. That's their brother. So yeah, little buddy's doing good. But yeah, he's getting older. So yeah, I can't wait to have an interview with him. If you want to see or need to see or haven't seen there's a YouTube video of Connie that I made, you know, it's been a few years, but if you go on YouTube and just type in loving memory of Connie Crow, you'll find it. It'll pop right up. In loving memory of Connie Crow. You can probably type in RIP Connie Crow and it'll pop up. But the video is titled In Loving Memory of Connie Crow, and it'll pop right up. And you can see the video. There's pictures and stuff on there. We did like a memorial type of homegoing service for at the Botanical Center. So there's lots of people was there, lots of family, people that love Connie was there. It was a lot of pictures of flowers and stuff like that. So if you want to check that out, go on there and check that out. You know, like I said, it's on YouTube. It's on one of my other YouTube pages, not the page that this will be on. But yeah, you can see that. And for those of you who actually cared for Connie and came around and showed appreciation, thank you. Appreciate you for everything you did. You know, I'm sure there was some people in there that were supposed to get shirts that didn't. If you hit me up, I can take care of that for you because I still got a few. So yeah, I just thought I would share that because this whole thing that I got going on right here, this whole podcast session and this talking and talking to people and getting people to see things and from a different perspective and all this, it's all due to her. It's all due to Connie. She's the one that brought this to me and said, you should do this, you should do that. I don't like dealing with people like that. You know, so I deal with a select few people, but I don't like dealing with people like that because people are fuckheads. People don't want to listen. They want to take information, they want to twist it, turn it into something else. That's not what I said. I said this, and this, and I said it like this, and this. You took it like this, and this. And she says, yeah, but there's people that still need to hear it. Now, with that being said, Mom has drilled in my head for years. God cursed the fig tree for not being fruitful. You're supposed to be fruitful. If you have a nugget, pass it on. If you have a nugget, pass it on. What you know is not meant for you. It's meant to be passed on. That's being fruitful. So everything that I say, this is where it comes from. If you ever questioned, if you ever wondered, why does he think like that? Why is he like that? Why is he such a protector? Why is he such a thoughtful person? Why is he? That's why. That's why. So hopefully you understand. Hopefully it makes sense. But I appreciate you watching this video. It's been an hour and 15, 20 minutes. It's long, but that's the story of Connie Crow and the day that it all went down. So, yeah, I would like to hear in the comments what you guys think. It doesn't matter what it is. Things that it don't bother me no more. Listening to people talk about it and people asking me questions, it don't bother me. I'm completely past that. You know what I mean? I can pull the picture up and I can look at the picture and it does not bother me. I can look at this picture almost with a smile on my face and say to myself, "That's my baby. That's my baby." It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't taunt me. It does nothing to me. And that's only to say that, you know, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. When you learn how to deal with some of the bad things in life and some of the shit in life, you can make do with your thoughts if you learn how to train your thoughts. And most people do not know how to train your thoughts. So you sit in the very shit that's got you sick. And you got to figure out how to get out of that. And I'm the one that'll take drastic measures to get myself out of shit. So I ain't got to sit there and smell like this. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's my story, man. That's my story. Curious to see what you guys think. You know, my next episode will drop here in a couple of days. It won't be on this. It'll be back to the normal. You know what I mean? Maybe with a twist, something different, maybe, kind of, sort of, almost, maybe. I don't know. But again, thanks for watching, you guys. Till next time, have a good night.
They are so full of the cap, man.